Here are 10 things that I wish I knew before moving to Laurens, South Carolina. So I was born and raised in Laurens. It is the gateway to the upstate. It is the entry point to Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. It has changed, but it's also kept a lot of its own similar type of fabric. Laurens is kind of becoming one of the final frontiers of affordable living in the upstate. There's a couple others that are out there, but as Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson grow, it's pushing out into some of these other areas. But if you're coming and you expect Laurens to be Greenville 2.0, I think you're going to be a little bit disappointed. Not in a bad way, but it's just different. Laurens actually offers acreage. They offer properties that, how people say that they don't make them like they used to. Properties with wide setbacks, deep setbacks. There's not a lot of restrictions in a lot of places of what you do. So if you're looking for that type of lifestyle, it might be something that may be interesting for you. Before we dive in, if you're planning a move to Laurens, click the link. I've got a relocation guide to Laurens because Laurens is different than the rest of the upstate. So, first point about Laurens, it's kind of an in-between location. It has been called in the past the gateway to the upstate. So it's typically 45 minutes to downtown Greenville, an hour to downtown Columbia. But depending on where you are in Laurens, it could be as close to 5 or 10 minutes from Fountain Inn or Simpsonville. So what we're seeing is as jobs come here, there's a lot of folks that are choosing to live in parts of Laurens and commute to Greenville to their jobs. The second point is that it still is a small town. Shops kind of close early. There's churches on Main Street, but not a lot of churches on Church Street. But things shut down a little bit early, but there has been a rejuvenation of lifestyle that's come to the area. There's a brand new restaurant called Moultrie I've yet to try. It has a speakeasy, I believe, down in the bottom. New sanitary market. So there's a resurgence of lifestyle that's coming in on the square. One amazing thing about Laurens is property taxes as it compares to the rest of the United States. I get calls all the time from other people in other parts of the country that say they spend $12,000, $15,000 a year on property taxes. And depending on where you are, if it's owner-occupied versus your primary residence, oftentimes we see property taxes under $2,500 a year. Obviously, it's going to be based on the property value. So take that with a grain of salt, but it is significantly cheaper than a lot of other places. There are places in Laurens, because it is still a growing and developing area, that you might not have the high-speed internet that you will in some other places. But this is in more rural parts of Laurens. The city of Laurens, city of Clinton, everywhere in between, kind of out towards the lake, typically has high-speed internet. And it's also a great thing that Starlink exists now, so you can live kind of off the grid anywhere that you want and still maintain connectivity. The square over the past couple years has revitalized substantially. There have been additions with coffee shops, with old abandoned buildings that have now been brought back to life, alleyways that have Edison bulbs that are draped through. One of the comments that we get often when people visit Laurens and the square specifically for the first time is it's like a Hallmark town. Once the lifestyle is established downtown Laurens, it's going to continue to permeate through Laurens County. It's been a really cool process to watch it go from what it was to what it currently is. The courthouse itself is undergoing a massive renovation, and it's beautiful. And it's been a very meticulous process, but it's something that's going to be a staple point of Laurens, so they want to make sure they get it right. Because as people enter into Laurens and the square, that is the focal point. That's the front door to the city of Laurens. Point number 6, acreage is still attainable. I get calls all the time asking me, do I have any land, whether it's an acre or 2 or 20 or 30? And there's a lot of places in the upstate where that's truthfully is not possible. And even if it is possible, it's cost prohibitive. So Laurens is one of those places that still has enough land and green space within a reasonable price point for you to build your dream home, for you to have a recreational track, or a little bit of both. It's kind of an often thing too, though, where I get calls where they say, I'd like to be able to raise up my window and shoot a deer out of my backyard. Laurens is one of those few places left in the upstate where you can actually do that. Inventory styles. So there's a lot of different types of homes in Laurens. There's other places throughout the upstate where all the homes in the subdivisions look exactly the same. It's like the builder went through and did copy-paste. Laurens is one of those unique places where you might have a grand Victorian home beside a newer property, beside a mill home. It's the fabric of how Laurens was built back in the day that gives it that character and that charm that you just don't feel like you're in the same copy-paste house with a different elevation over and over and over again. One of the cool things about this as well is there's some new builds that are also headed to the area. And for the first time in a long time, based on my research, we actually have great townhome products that are coming in as well that help on the price point, that are offering financing incentives. So in Laurens, you have the opportunity to buy a townhome for under $200,000, a single family new build, an estate property, a recreational property. You have more inventory choices in Laurens than you're going to have in a whole lot of other places. There's a lot of industrial growth and the economic growth that's coming to Laurens. Everything from ZF Transmissions in the upper end of the county to Hunter Industrial Park to a massive mixed-use project down in Clinton. Because as the upstate continues to grow and Laurens literally sharing Interstate 385 and Interstate 26, the accessibility to those places are vital. And I know the push there is to increase wages so that Laurens can become a place that you can live, work, and play. Laurens is very seldom gridlocked, but it does have a train system. You're not going to have too often a traffic jam in Laurens, but what you might get hit with is a train. But if you live there long enough, or if you're a local, you can scout out back roads that you know that you can get around the train every single time, 100% of the time. The next thing that you need to know about Laurens is that it is a very much you know your neighbor community. Some people like that, some people don't. Personally, I love being able to go to the grocery store, the local Chick-fil-A, the coffee shop, and being able to build authentic and true community. So if going to the grocery store and saying hello to 10 people is not your thing, maybe Laurens isn't for you, but for me, absolutely is. If you're looking for robust nightlife, it's probably not the place for you. But if you are looking for community, this is a place that you should take a strong look at. I was born and raised there. I really loved being from there and growing up there. We still have a real estate office on the square there. And so we're very much entrenched in that community. If you want a no-holds-barred opinion of what Laurens is, I'm happy to jump on a 15-minute call with you to help you understand the fabric of what Laurens is and why it might be a good idea to move there.